Hi, I'm Zach Norman.
I'm Ethan Henderson.
Andrew Nolan.
Dave R.
Tyler Harris.
And we are the 2011 Spring Custom Crops Committee.
I think probably start out with our mission statement. This is what we kind of came up with. Is we're here to utilize the resources that don't get eaten up by everything else to generate cash flow, either in an off time or, you know, when there's labor there's extra labor. That's kind of our mission statement, is to utilize everything that's not getting used by the other committees. And what we're going to do today is explain the current custom enterprise and the relationship to the rest of the farming operation, kind of like I just explained. Describe long-term and short-term goals of the custom committee. Provide the strengths and weaknesses of the custom enterprise.
Our current state of the farm here is our committee is always looking for new opportunities to expand our custom farming operations, especially through Kent Burns and the ISU Outline Research Farms. We're also waiting for the ag decision maker to determine the custom rates for the 2011 season. And we actually, just as a committee, we sat down and had a very informative and educational meeting with Dr. Honeyman and Kent Burns, where we addressed a lot of issues that we've had as a custom operations committee. We talked about the fact that we can't do custom operations on farms that aren't university owned. That was something that we really wanted to push and try and change. Found out basically through the state law and regulation we can't change that. But they had a lot of good information. They know this farm very well. They had a lot of ideas on what we can do, new enterprises we can look into for a little extra money. We'll talk about a few of those later, such as custom manure applications, snow removal, certain ideas like that. But we certainly got a lot of information from those guys for that meeting.
Some of our strengths as the Custom Crops Committee are that we have quite a bit of resource of just highly efficient, large equipment available to us. This also gets our machinery costs cheap, and our rental rates are quite a bit lower due to the municipal rates that we get as a university. Our maintenance costs are pretty low because we have the machinery committee that does a good job for us, and we also have fairly new equipment, so that helps a lot. And our labor inputs are fairly reasonable because we all volunteer and Greg's good work. We also have a group of new, fresh people that have a lot of experiences with agriculture, and they provide a lot of innovative ideas for us. And we're in a pretty sound financial position overall as a whole farm, so that's a pretty big advantage to us.
Some of the weaknesses that we have found is it's student run for such a short period of time, just one semester. So if you try to get something started, such as a new custom enterprise, you really can't follow through with it into the next year and make sure it goes the way you wanted it set up. You just hope that the next class takes off with it. There's always different operators in the machinery, such as a chisel plow, the field cultivator, and everybody's got their own way of doing things. So that always conflicts. There's always a conflict there when this guy does it this way and this guy does it that way, and it's just never consistent. Since we're only restricted to university land, that's really limiting in our expansion. We have to look at new enterprises. We can't expand the ones that we already have. Labor restrictions, it's kind of an issue too, if looking at new enterprises. How much labor is it going to take, because it's not really feasible to have students out here working 30 hours a week trying to do these new enterprises. And Greg can't do it all. So, and then just our risky land security. It's what land are we going to lose to other university departments doing research and other trials and stuff like that.
Short-term goals, we need to update our custom rates, which we'll be able to do that in March as soon as the decision maker comes out. And we've already agreed with Kent Burns that whatever ag decision maker says, that's what we're going to do. So it's just a matter of getting the data. It's already been set and done that that's what we're going to do. The beef farm sorghum, we picked up about 20 acres. Marshall Rubel wants us to completely take care of it because he doesn't want anything to do with it really. So we're going to do that. So And we're also trying to increase our tillage satisfaction. Kent Burns already said he's pretty happy with the way we do things. His main concern was consistency, that when one person gets in, they don't do 6 miles an hour, the next guy does 8 miles an hour. He wants everyone to do what he says, and he wants it, you know, so it's a consistent job. So that's kind of things that we'd like to change for right now.
All right, I'll go ahead. Some of our long-term goals, like I spoke about earlier, I'm meeting with Kent Burns and Dr. Honeyman. The main thing is increase custom opportunities with the university. You know, the main thing that they discussed, and I think that's a really good idea, is the custom manure application. Since I think we counted there's like 6 to 8 different farms or sites where they're storing manure and they need it put on, and they're having private custom people come put it on. And I think it'd be a really good idea if we started that. Since we have our own hog facility, and there's several other hog facilities that the university owns. So they thought that'd be a good idea, something at least to look into. Like again, explore other custom enterprises, and like I talked about, start the manure application enterprises. They gave us a lot of figures on the cents per gallon and how many gallons each facility holds, how many times a year they're pumped. They gave us a lot of good information on that. So that's something we're going to look into to get started here and see if we can get something done.
Something else they also mentioned to us there, as Dave said earlier, is snow removal, poultry farm and the beef farm. Those people their job is to work with the livestock. They're not real crazy about spending 3 or 4 hours a day just moving snow and driving around a loader tractor. That's not really their job. So that's something we can look into. I know the winter's kind of dwindling out, but it's just the middle of February. So another thing is more acres. We're always looking for more acres. As Dave said, we have to fight with the other counties and the university to do this, but something if we let them know and keep everybody posted about it, we might find some more for us somewhere along the way. And just another thing, it may be some custom spraying in the future. It's a pretty profitable business if you're covering up acres, but it also keeps some of our costs down. If we were able to operate a sprayer on our own land.
The conclusion, the Ag 450 farm is in great standings, but it is accepting to new ideas and strategies. Our relation with other Iowa State entities is crucial for our profitability. We should continue to diversify and manage risk. Overall, leaving the farm in a better state than we found it is our main goal. Are there any questions?
When you guys are talking about maybe doing custom application for manure, do you need an applicator's license for that?
Yes, we have to.
So whoever would do that, they'd have to go through the process of getting that every time, every class.
Did you guys ever, with the custom application of manure, look at any upfront costs of starting that?
Yeah, we looked into it, tanks versus the hose application. Tanks would be a lot more economical for us to get into and a little bit less labor intense. But overall, like, we kind of looked at the different, like dairy would take a lot of labor to do, so we might just concentrate on our own building and then a couple of the other swine research buildings. Because with the tank, because we just don't have the volume to do the dairy with just a tank, but we can surely do our own, maybe 2 others.
Yeah, we're not really, the dairy does 2 million gallons 2 times a year, and they're not going to do it with a tank, so that kind of cuts us out just because we can't, if Jeff's our labor, we can't really just have one guy running the umbilical system. So
something else we kind of looked into too was that we might be able to trade some of our combining time, because we've lost so many acres to combining corn, mostly, that we might be able to focus more on newer application, and it might be more profitable for us and less competition than newer application.
yep.
How do you actually determine that custom rate? Because on AgSystem it gives a range.
We actually do the averages for that's what it's been for the last 10 years or something, he says. So.
And for that for the stuff we're already doing, but for manure application, they actually told us what each farm is paying currently, so that really gives us a baseline of what we need to be able to do it for. So that's one thing we know already, and we know exactly how many gallons they do and when they want it done. So we have a lot of good information. We just need to put it all together and figure out the cost.
Another thing about the manure application is the guy that does the dairy, who drag lines it all, he doesn't really like going from something that he's doing 2 million gallons twice a year to building that's say only 300,000 gallons. It's kind of just a pain in the butt